the first time the word unicorn came, people said it's a rare thing. And today it's like there are about 1,000 of them globally, and I think the last count I knew was around 117 in India. When you are able to take up even certain components of ESG, which you can, it shows that you are a company which is forward-thinking. You are looking at sustained operations. That's very important. In the case of startups, the moment we start looking at something like governance, which is the way the company conducts itself, from top to bottom, the transparency, the practices, the oversight, I think that will make a huge difference in the way the company is run and also from the long-term sustainability. Up until a few years back, the first time the word unicorn came, people said it's a rare thing. And today it's like there are about 1,000 of them globally, and I think the last count I knew was around 117 in India.
Globally, 1,000, in India has got 100.
Yeah, well over 100.
I mean, there's more than 10%. Oh, that's interesting.
It's a really very interesting thing, and we are counting. So the interesting part is that yes, certainly it is true that the valuations side of startup has been really going up, and Indian companies are also doing pretty well, and which means that it's all the more important that you start embracing the certain concepts which may not appear to be of great significance in the short term, but they are, in my opinion.
So, in my understanding, I mean, just to give a quick summary, the startup ecosystem should consider ESG also one of the prime mover for their ideas to execution.
Yes.
Is that the right way to put it?
Well, absolutely. Because what actually happens is that when you have taken into account something like ESG, one is it's certainly a market differentiator in itself. When you know, earlier I mentioned about the other companies, the moment you start practicing ESG, and you are able to talk about it, you measure it, you report on it, you are signaling to the market about the kind of company you are. And similarly, the same applies to a startup company as well. When you are able to take up even certain components of ESG, which you can, it shows that you are a company which is forward-thinking. You are looking at sustained operations. That's very important. You know, and you are looking at beyond revenues. Revenues are certainly very important, but at the same time, the moment you are stepping into something like ESG and you started looking at it seriously and started talking about it,
is that also signaling that I'm ready for the global market?
Well,
absolutely.
Yes. There are. You are absolutely right, because there are regulations which are coming across the globe, in particular the European Union, for example, and the US as well, and increasingly India as well. So they are looking at how companies are faring on this side. One example, if I may take some time to share on this.
Absolutely, most welcome. It's very interesting. Yeah.
You know, the ESG in India, the regulatory part comes through what is called BRSR. So, Business Responsibility and Sustainable Report. So this is SEBI mandated as mandatory for the top 1,000 companies.
SEBI mandatory.
Okay. Mandated. And one of the aspects of it, increasingly, SEBI is also calling out on these companies to look at how the supply chain is faring. You know, and of course this is still in the making. But going down the line, certainly it will be expected that how the supply chain of these companies. They are also faring on some of these BRSR.
The parameters.
Aspects. Absolutely. The BRSR is quite vast, and it covers various aspects of responsible business.
When you say supply chain, is the procurement of the raw material for production and multiple other stuff?
Absolutely. The entire value chain of the organization. And therefore, what it means is that a lot of these relatively smaller companies, you know, whether we are talking about SMEs or even startups for that matter, will fall in one or other category of this value chain down the line. And when you are already prepared for something like ESG, it shows your preparedness and commitment towards something like that. And interestingly, although today, you know, ESG, as a matter of fact, if you ask me, I would say, has become all the more important with some of the governance-related stories that we have been hearing. You know, and governance, in my opinion, is fundamental to E and S before we, you know, get into this whole thing.
Correct.
Because that's what really determines everything. So I think the governance part is very important. And when in the case of startups, the moment they start looking at something like governance, which is the way the company conducts itself, from top to bottom, the transparency, the practices, the oversight, I think that will make a huge difference with the way the company is run and also from the long-term sustainability of the company. And that shows a great preparedness for the other parts, which are E and S. The moment you start looking at G, as a very critical aspect, I think you start also looking at the other two areas as well. And I think, although even today, if let's say that the regulatory pressure on startups may not be there,
but they need to be compliant. They need to be prepared for.
Absolutely. I think from a market perspective, it will become more and more important, and especially so if the venture capitalists or the funders who are looking at startups,
they would insist on that.
In my opinion, the venture capitalists should be the first ones to start looking at ESG seriously.
Thank you, Vivian. It's quite interesting to have a chat with you. Viewers, Startups for Breakfast is a platform where you'll keep on hearing more and more experts come and speak, people coming and sharing their experience as an entrepreneur, as a startup. Please remember, you can write to us. We are here to help @startupsforbreakfast.com. I'll repeat the email. We are here to help @startupsforbreakfast.com. Thank you for watching our channel. If you like our content, please subscribe, share, and do not forget to comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Ravi.
Thank you so much.